doing here? What am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Today, I sit down and talk about life, community, making music, and the rampage of the universe with my friend Jordan Benjamin, aka Grandson. He is an incredible musician, super articulate, and one of the kindest people ever. We both just finished a bunch of touring and got together in Los Angeles to make music just for fun, which is the best. As an added bonus, I convinced him to get a 2018 Honda Civic, which is the exact same car as I drive. So now we are bonded for life. Okay, here's my conversation with Grandson. I'm here with Jordan Edward Benjamin, better known to the world as Grandson.
Yes.
And
so sick.
You know, so the concept of this show is, what am I doing here? So I thought I would just pose the question to you right now. What are we doing here?
On the most physical level, we're here making music together. I've been such a gigantic fan of yours, an admirer of your work for so long. So I was like, man, I would love to have the opportunity to just make some stuff. So we're here just trying to stay in like a state of play. Mm-hmm. And I feel that like it's the end of the year and we both just got back from like really long tours. And I can't speak for you, but tour for me was a very like, it was a lot. It was kind of a really exciting, expansive time, but also at times like an overwhelming, stressful thing. And my antidote has been trying to just reclaim that space of just making stuff and doing cartwheels and jumping around and like just getting to return to that state of play that as an artist I think we all like are trying to chase back to.
I think, you know, as interesting as you were saying this is like touring is so energizing in a certain way, but it's so draining in this other way because it's like discombobulating and disorienting and kind of strange. It's a strange way to live. And I think like you and I both right now just came out of this like it's like I've likened it in the past to, do you know that game where you put your nose on a baseball bat and spin around and then try to run straight? Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I feel when I get home. I'm like, groceries? Like what?
Right.
Like people fill up their cars with gas? Can I do that? And I feel like getting back and like being with creative people and making music feels to me like filling back up the tank or like reorienting myself. So I feel like right now I'm just trying to like, I'm clinging for dear life onto the soil.
Yeah. It's a very disorienting experience, and I don't think biologically we're really trained for it or prepared for it. Sometimes I get so caught up in what I'm trying to do day to day, month to month, that I lose sense of what doing all this affords me to be. And so I forget the point for me of making music was I didn't feel like I had a clear purpose in life. I didn't feel like I really knew exactly who my community was. I didn't feel normal in university when all my friends were, you know, getting ready to go to grad school and do whatever it is that they're doing now. So for me, it was always about finding community, finding a sense of being understood. And now I have the means with which to get those things, but it's so easy to get lost in the minutia that you kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater or something.
You know, the greatest time when you're making music is often the beginning, when it's all just pure expression and there's like an urgency and a naivete about what you're doing, that it's almost like the purest catharsis. And I think I'm finding that like I'm always trying to get back to that place. And even us, like today so this is our second day working together and we're working on a song. We really have no agenda for this song. There's no point to today, technically. We're just, you know, so it's like, but that was the spirit with which I started making music, was like, hey, I'm overwhelmed with feeling. I'm just going to express it with no expectation about what it should sound like. that anyone will care, that it will ever be released. Like, you know, just sort of this ultimate freedom of expression, I guess. And I think I'm just constantly trying to get back to that, especially as you add on years of touring.
I think in some ways that pursuit is like very noble. Like I feel that like that is kind of what all art is just this like chasing this ephemeral. And so when I make stuff, it's often like it's not a very like, it's a relaxing process only after it's done and I'm listening back at the end of the day. But during it, I have this real sense of like urgency to get it all out. And so much of what I've been looking for is that sense of community and that sense of being understood, and who better to do that with than other people that are going through it as well. And I think that I've tried to really reframe my relationship to the audience that listens to what I make as a role of service on my end. I'm trying to just, like I said, like just facilitate their transition and trying to build a non-judgmental community that I always wanted to be a part of. I think that through the microcosm of the music industry in Los Angeles and going back further, the like curriculum, the pedagogy of like music education, I do think that people get very like insulated from like normal expression, which is why it's unsurprising that you took this unorthodox path to being a musician, which is how you still have maintained the perspective of a normal human being, because what we are doing is inherently actually not normal at all. And that's been very like confusing. And so when people ask about writer's block or being inspired, I think the answer is to just like go live life, go just try to connect with what was the point that you were trying to get to, and just go do that, just go live that person that you wanted to be. And I think we're all just trying to like find our why. So when trying to figure out why am I here, I think you have to just go be there to find out.
You're right. I feel the same way. Like you kind of don't give up, and then you find your place in time.
I caught myself almost being tempted to just kind of bow out of the race and go, well, I'm not going to compete in this fashion anymore if I'm not going to get the feelings I want out of it. But that isn't the answer either, because then I think resentment will creep in and these what ifs that I've spent so much time trying to avoid. Like so much of this has just been about that same curiosity of, I don't know what's going to happen, but I definitely know what'll happen if I don't find out, which is I'll wish I did.
Yeah, I think reaching for the stars, but being satisfied with the soil or whatever is kind of the challenge of life. I just made that up.
You should
copyright.
This is good stuff.
Thank you. But I think it's super challenging. And I will say, as a fan of yours, it's been so fun working, and I think you are very creative and smart and a great person.
I'm down.
And it's just, it's great to sit down and talk. So thank you for chatting with me.
Anytime, every time.
Okay, well, these are famous last words. See, this is how I rope people into decades-long friendships.
I'm in.
Okay.
Let's get a potluck going.
Okay, Jordan's in. I made jambalaya last night, so I don't know. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
A lot of times it can feel intimidating to form community with people who are doing the same things as you. Maybe because you don't think they want to be friends, or you feel competitive or insecure. But I think we're all looking for community, even if we don't always show it. One thing that really resonated with me was the idea that community creates a mean or an average of experience, a sense that even when you're doing great, others are struggling, and vice versa. It kind of puts the extremes in perspective and creates this sense of peace or equilibrium, no matter what your job is. So this week, let's all take one step in the direction of forming community and reach out to someone we'd like to know a little bit better. And maybe you'll end up driving the exact same car. If you want to talk to me about stuff on the internet, you can use the hashtag K.Flay Show, or you can email me at thekflayshow@gmail.com. I am doing all kinds of things all the time. Visit kflay.com to see what I'm up to.